Welcome to this video on how to tie a thistle knot. A thistle knot, in fact, is a very particular kind of stopper knot, and it is a combination of a crown knot and a wall knot. You tie the crown knot first and then you tie the wall knot second. So let's go back to tying our first thistle knot. The first thing we need to do is to get the rope in which we want to put the thistle knot, and we want to put some form of whipping. This is a plain whipping made with number 4 whipping twine, but it could equally well be insulation tape, and I put this whipping in about 6 inches, 15 centimeters from the end, maybe a little bit longer than I normally would make it, but I want you to be able to see exactly what it is I'm doing, so I've got plenty of rope. Now this is 6mm jute rope that I'm using, and you can see it being a natural rope, it has a fairly loose lay, and the ends here are just about to drop apart. So it's really important to protect those ends. So in another rope that I've already prepared, you can see that I've got insulation tape around the ends here to stop the rope from unraveling completely, because you can see it's a very loose lay, and down here we've got the whipping that is stopping the rope from unwrapping any further. So the first thing to do is to tie the crown knot, and the crown knot is very seldom used on its own, but it's often used as the first part of, for example, a back splice, and you'll find it in many other splicing operations. So the first thing to do is to tie the crown knot, and we unravel the knot here, so we've got the 3 strands, and here we go with the crown knot. It's simply a question of getting moving in an anti-clockwise direction. We lay one of the parts over the other, tuck that one over the second, and then take the third back through the first. That is a crown knot. Admittedly a very loose one. I want to keep it as loose as I can, so hopefully you can see that in the center is a hole where my finger is. That's the center of the crown knot, and that is particularly important for the next operation, because the next operation, all 3 bitter ends are going to come up through that hole. That is what makes the crown knot into the thistle knot. So just give ourselves a little bit more tension in there, and you can see that that is the center here of the crown knot. Okay, so moving in an anti-clockwise direction again, we take one of these ends, we go round a standing part and up through the center of the crown knot. We rotate the rope anti-clockwise. We take the next end, we go round a standing part and up through the center of the crown knot. We rotate the rope again, and we take the last end, we go round the standing part, and we go up through the center of the crown knot. So we can now see that all 3 of these bitter ends are together coming through the hole in the middle of the crown knot. And although it is incredibly loose, that is in fact a thistle knot. And all that remains now is to move the knot strand by strand down towards the whipping here where my thumb is. So we do that by just moving a little bit of the slack at a time, following this bit of slack that I've introduced all the way around the knot, and tugging up the loose end. And you just have to do this bit by bit by bit as you go round the knot, moving the knot each time further down towards the whipping. Eventually, you will end up with a tightened up thistle knot like this. And when you are tightening up the thistle knot and you're pulling on these individual strands, make sure that you roll the splice, roll the knot between the palms of your hands, and you'll get an extra little bit of tension on these ends as you pull them through. When you come to trim the ends, some people have a temptation to cut them much closer to the knot than really is necessary. So leave yourself an inch or so, 2.5 centimeters at the end, and there the knot has been moved down right on top of the whipping. There's no way that is going to come undone, and that's a very secure thistle knot. So that's it. Relatively easy knot to tie. You just need some whipping twine. You certainly need some insulation tape. If you don't want to leave the whipping twine on permanently, then of course you can use insulation tape and take it off afterwards, but I quite like to leave the whipping twine on. So whipping twine, insulation tape, sometimes a pair of sharp pliers is useful for just getting the ends through the center of the knot and giving them a tug. Certainly very useful for doing the plain whipping in the middle. And then obviously your favorite cutting instrument for finishing the ends off. So there it is, one thistle knot.